So, here I am, Vaishali Nair from Enduring Genesis. I am the founder and managing director of Enduring Genesis, and I am currently on a mission to empower, to make, or to impact at least 1 lakh women across India in next 3 years. So that's my goal. And now I'm going to cover a topic on day 11 that is so much important to each one of us, we all women. So that is about decision making, and I welcome you all for this very important session today. I'm wishing that every one of us learns some or the other part of the skills of this important skill, which is decision making, right? So having said this, now I welcome all of you here. Who I see a lot of people here who are already there, and a lot of women, my friends, beautiful friends. You all are here on this weekend, which is a Saturday, and I'm so happy and feeling so grateful that you could make it for this session. So let's begin with the session now, and let's deep dive into the essential life skill, that is the decision making, which is very much essential for our growth development. And that is where we are going to deep dive today. Let's begin. Yeah. So give me 1 second. And yes, so for me, decision making itself, it's a very beautiful process. It's a very beautiful act when we actually make a decision for ourselves, for our near and dear ones, at our workplace, for our teams, or for our business, or for our business venture, or if we are working on a startup. This is really really very essential, that the good decision, it always empowers us to do the best. And that is why decision making skill is so important, that we must acquire this at the right time, so that we don't have to regret later on that we did not make the decision right, or we did not take the decision. So taking the decision itself is a step towards the progress, right, in all areas of our life. So let's go and deep dive into this. Yeah. So what is the definition? It's a definition of a decision, which we have to understand. What is decision? So if I see, there are a lot of people who are asking, yeah, in the inbox I can see a lot of comments here. So what is decision? What is the difference between decision and decision making? So essentially decision is, a kind of it's a kind of, how I can describe this. Yeah. So I will only talk about decision making, because that is where you will learn how to decide for yourself. So decision making is simply the process of making a choice. So when I say decision, I will briefly say that it's a choice which we make, right? When we make that choice, we make a decision, right? So it is simply a process of making the choice. But decision making often is not easy, right? So all of you agree to this. Yeah, in many circumstances it is not so easy. So it can be particularly complex in an organizational context, or when the situation, a personal challenge is so much important. Like, I can give example. In COVID period, we have seen that we had so many of our closed and loved ones. They were to put on ventilators. Sometimes the decisions, I had encountered so many cases when people were sharing their experiences, when they were asked that whether the ventilator can be removed from their loved ones, so that they can peacefully die, because there was no hope. So such kind of complex decisions are so crucial in everybody's life, right? So it's a process, it's a choice which you make by identifying a decision gathering the information about it, and assessing the alternative solutions or resolution. So when we make a decision, we always try to understand, what is that situation, and how we can get more information before we decide on anything, and how we can actually see the alternative resolutions, or the possibilities which are available to make that choice, right? So decision making is a choice, it's a judgment that you make after thinking about various possibilities, right? Yes, Preeti, you are saying it right. Yeah, so a high quality good decision is based on so many methodical analysis of the available information. So be it at workplace, or it can be a sound reasoning, or it can be a measure of how well informed the decision maker was when he made some choices. So yeah, that's true, Ananya. You are absolutely right, because there are so many, there are good decisions and bad decisions. So we are going to deep dive here on these areas also when we go with this topic ahead, right? So the basis of most of our decisions, yeah, they are our behaviors and actions, right? So our selections, our preferences, and our decisions are influenced by the information that is available to us, right? So they have their impacts through unconscious paths. So apparently, many psychologists say that there are some kind of childhood experiences, or some not good experiences in the childhood or in our growing years, which can make us to make bad choices as our decisions. So there are so many angles to any decision taking or making, right? So they are I see some some comments on how the childhood memories, they have, they actually haunt us while we make some decisions. So these are all things which go into our subconscious mind, and based on those habits or the mindsets, we kind of try to take some decisions, right? So these decisions, as I covered in the earlier part also, those who are having growth mindset and the positive attitude, probably they end up taking good decisions. I don't want to say this, but yes, there are so many studies which are done which say that growth mindset and the positive attitude, these are the best factors, or the skills which can help us in taking the right decisions. So decisions are made explicitly when our consciously combine whenever one consciously combines beliefs and values in order to choose a course of action. So this is another angle which has come from a few psychologists. So they are made implicitly, whenever one relies on a ritualized response, like a happy or a tradition or a culture, to cope up with a choice between the options. So sometimes we take decisions based on our habits, sometimes we take decisions based on traditional, like typically if you see a lot of people who are in business, and their next generation, they go into business because that is the choice which they make consciously based on the culture in the family, right? So psychology of human decision making is often studied as the outcome of a careful evaluation of alternative options in terms of the likelihood and the value of the outcomes associated with these options. So we have to look at what are the options which are available, and if we actually choose those options, then what is the value which we can bring it to us, to our families, or to our organization, or to our business, right? So good decision maker is someone, yeah, he or she is a someone who can analyze the available options so deeply, who can identify the potential consequences before taking that decision, or who can make a choice that aligns with their values. So lot of wow moments here. Yeah, so you so many past experiences wherein you probably have not done this exercise. So let us deep dive again, to understand the methods, or the analytics, or the skills which are available, so that we become the good decision maker. So they are also these decision makers, they have a very good quality that they are able to take responsibility for their decisions, and they learn from their mistake. This is a very important thing for all women who are here in this forum, to understand that the decisions can go wrong. We can learn from the mistakes, but we need to take the overall responsibility. Accountability can be with us, or it cannot be with or it cannot be with us. But we, if we are businesswomen, if we are entrepreneurs, or if we are leading a team, we are responsible for those decisions which we take for our teams, our business, right? So understand that these are the learning opportunities. As I said in the earlier sessions also, the wrong things or the mistakes which happen, these are the growth opportunities, and we have to take, when we take such kind of decisions and we encounter failures, or we feel that okay, we have not given adequate to that, and we still learn from that and we grow that, and we keep on taking, getting more insights to take accurate decisions in near future. So having said this, when making a decision, we form opinions, we choose actions, that is via mental process, which are influenced by our earlier biases or the current biases, our reasoning, our emotions, our memories. So the simple act of deciding supports, so the simple act of deciding supports the notion that we have free will. We weigh the benefits and cost of our choice, and then we cope with the consequences. How many of you agree to this? Yes, yes, Anju, absolutely right. Yes, Priya, right, you are right. So we are responsible because there are so many subconscious things or biases which with which we take decisions, right? So it's not only at the professional level, it is also at the personal level. So John Maxwell, he has summed up the importance of decision making like this. So life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make, it makes you, right? It's a very phenomenal statement by John Maxwell, and he says this. We have to understand that when we make choices, life is full of always choices, and it is a matter of choices that we make, and that is what makes us. So we have to understand this, that we don't have to feel guilty about our choices, we don't have to feel overwhelmed with our decisions, but we have to move on. So our choices, they define our life, right? So it is a stark statement, but one that will horrify the indecisive and empower the strong. So those people who are bad decision maker, they get worried with this particular statement, and those who are the good decision maker, they understand the depth of it, right? So I encourage each one of you, understand the depth of this statement, and see to it that when you make choices, though good or bad, you take responsibility of those choices, and you know that they are the kind of milestones, which will make you. They can break you, they can make you. So when they you know that they will make you and to a good human being, a good person on this planet, please understand that you are on the right track. So every decision you make becomes you. Understand this, right? So a lot of our moments here, and I say that, Shriya, you must understand this, girl. Yeah, so our choices, they matter, right? So it is that one thing which you can truly control, that is your decisions. Yeah, yes, absolutely, Rashi, absolutely. Right? So yeah, yes, 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 Mayura, yeah, you're right. So we are responsible for our choices. So our choices, they matter. Yes, our choices. So when I say your choices matter, that means you should know you are in control of your decisions. So making decisions means taking a bet on the future, right? So the future version of you. Yeah. So if making a bet was not hard enough, navigation of past, you know they can spoil your opportunities. Yeah, so if you have the habit of dwelling in the past, you cannot come up with the opportunities, and whenever the opportunities come, you will spoil those opportunities. So although we live in the present, we most of the times we dwell in our histories, our past, and then we dream about our futures. So we can't even predict our future. So how we can prepare for them? But with the right decision making, we can prepare for them. And so the importance of decision making makes itself clear that, you know, that we have to take right decisions, because that actually builds our future, at least some part of our future. I agree that we don't know our future, when we will die, or what will happen to us, or how we will grow old, or what kind of diseases will come to us, and what kind of fate we will have. But we can actually make right decisions, so that we feel that our future will be bright and good, right? But is that enough? Like somebody's asking here in the inbox, is that enough? Yes, we are all busy living in moment, and we are consumed by the petty issues of life. How many of you agree to this? Yes, I see so many, saying this. Yes, lot of petty issues, right? So everyday thoughts are more frequently tied to decisions of our history or our future. So all with seemingly little consequence, right? So these, past and future, they have very little consequence on our decisions. Like, what we should have for dinner tomorrow, some kind of way, kind of worries. I wish I hadn't eaten from that slice of cake, or will my kids be okay walking to school tomorrow, and how much should I pay off the credit card this month, all these questions, and the list goes on and on and on. And at the end of our life, what will you have you thought of this? Yeah. So I want to give one example, which was, from one of my very senior leader in my organization. And he was very confident, but he was very rude at the same time. He was very energetic, and he was very alcoholic. Yeah, this manager was one of the best in my organization. He was ruthless, he was self-driven, he was direct. Yeah, but you know he was a leader one can admire. He was a leader who was with whom you will always feel that you can give your best. Yeah, but it happened someday, one day, that I got opportunity to work with this leader very closely for the project. And I have my children, and I always used to get the advice from this leader. You know make the most of them at this age, for they will grow quickly. So I always used to wonder, why he keeps on saying this kind of thing always. He always was a very energetic guy, but whenever like it used to come to the family matters or the personal matters, he always used to tell me, you give all your attention to your children now, because that is where they will grow so quickly. And I never understood why so, because this guy was so workaholic, and I never understood why he was saying this. So one day, when we were having a very good discussion about how the things were moving in the organization, and how people were really motivated to do, and then there was a point when he really cracked, he broke down, and he said, what, Vaishali, you know what? I spent my entire life in making my career, right? I was so focused on providing to my family that I lost so many precious moments with my children. And then that was the point where, you know, I realized what is that the choices, how they matter. Yeah, he told me this, that the kids for him were never the center of attraction. It was He was only a provider to his family, and that really got lot of resentment within his family members, including his own children, right? And never he never let go of that kind of workaholic passion. So whenever his kid needed him, whenever his son needed him, he was not available. He was just provided, and every time the justification which he was giving to the family members, that he had to work hard to be successful. So when he focused more on the work, he got further away from his kids, and that is where he lost touch with his own kids. So the resentment from his only son, that is how that felt the pain of the choices he had made. So I tell you, women, and even those men who are here, always remember this thing, that these things, the choices which make can impact lot of our lives. Yeah, lot lot of our things. Yeah. So this is one of the example. Most of us foster regret. So we don't like the outcomes we must live with. The pain is a little bit deeper. Yeah. But it is this deepening understanding as we grow older that we can't go back. Yeah, our decisions can affect us now, but it can also affect our future sometimes. So when we are young, we fool ourselves, we have time, but as we grow older, so the reality of the big green tree starts to hit home, right? Yeah, a lot of wow moments. Yeah, yeah, true. So, having said this, I'm not discouraging you out, because there is no going back. So, whenever you want to take decision, I'm coming to this point, that when you want to make decision, make the right decisions. Try to analyze all the things when you make a big decision in your life. Ladies, women, I know there are so many who are coming from sabbatical, or those who were on sabbatical, or those who want to start something after the sabbatical. But yes, this is where we have to make the right choice about careers, right? About the business which we want to start, about the new startup which we want to start. We have to really make a good decision there. We have to really do lot of homework before we make the decision to start something new, to take up the new job, to go for a new assignment, to go for some global assignment. We have to really think about this. So having said this, uh, I want to really again take you back to the thought that your choices, they matter. So although you might worry about what you decide, you what matters more is how you decide. Yeah. So as it is clear from the laws of nature, the entropy will always play its part in your life. So, but you know this, and you can prepare for this. So I will say it again, that what matters is how you make decisions. You control your choices, right? So there are several articles which can help you to improve the way of what you decide. So whether it is be the power of reflective decision making, or thinking like a detective, to be very precise. A new perspective can change your view, or you might want to clarify what a good decision making process is, how it looks like. So each article which is nowadays available on Google can offer you a lot of insights, and you can take a lot of good decisions by seeing others experiences. So the key is to recognize every decision matters. So I can't help but return to the quote at the beginning: life is a matter of choice. Right? So, what is John Maxwell said? Life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. So, your choice makes you. Yeah, your choices, they make you. So, it is this fundamental principle that you should underpin the decisions you make. Yeah. So, yes, Shabdanji. Yeah, you're right. You are right. So, better this than the pain of regret, right? Yeah, yeah. So, it is not that so hidden truth about the importance of decision making. Yeah. So there are four-step perspectives which you can take to decide, how to think through the decision making process, your decision making, right? So perspective changes decisions. So that's why they are very essential. It gives us a very different view which is unseen from the stance we are holding in our mind. So, like looking over the horizon from a mile, that's such a beautiful example which I can give you. Yeah, so you can see something from where you are standing, you can see a different horizon, but when you actually approach or walk a mile further forward, you will see a different view, right? So we make decisions all the time: what to wear, what to eat, what to buy at the shop, where to go, which vacation to take, even sometimes, I will say, which food to which food to eat, and all that kind of things. So our intelligence has learned to simplify the process of decision making, right? Through intuitions, through inherited system, as I captured earlier, which is there in our genes, or which is coming from our family. So or our ancestors, a lot of if you see lot of holy books, they always guide us about decision making. So we have this inherited, what I will say, treasure about decision making techniques, or things which are already available to us, or our forefathers who learned the survival instincts of flight, fight, and food and freeze, right? So many things. So how does the perspective help? So yes, yes, Madhura, you are right. So, right. So, how it helps, right? So, it helps us change our viewpoint. Overthinking drives anxiety, right? As we become, sometimes I want to give some example, like when we want to take a very critical decision for the business, we always have anxiety at the back of our mind, right? So, what if kind of questions. So, perspective puts that anxiety into context, right? And that is vital when we make decisions, right? So, however, we must ask ourselves the right questions, and that I will explain shortly, right? So, without perspective, we will fall back on our fears. So, always see to it that you have a right perspective in place so that you are not fearful. So, when fear is driving anxiety, the fear of making the wrong decision, it goes above, it increases, right? It can be compounding. So, of course, for those who already suffer from mental health issues, depression, anxiety, for them, then this becomes really, fearful process. So this fear can become so great that they can completely lose the sight of the potential benefits which they will get by taking that decision. So it inevitably, it leads to the indecision, right? It leads sometimes to indecision, a moment when our minds, they allow all the negative outcome to dominate our thinking, and we end up not taking the decision. We become indecisive, and we think that, all sense of our rational reasoning or thinking is gone, and it destroys the objective or the goal coming from that decision making. So, there are four perspectives. So first step, this is a four-step perspective which you can actually work on before taking the decision. So first one is itself is a decision, right? So it's a very simple thing. So what is the decision you are faced with? So you have to ask certain questions to yourself. Write down that what is, why you want this. Yeah, write down it by telling it as a question. And what, there are some examples which I can give is, uh, what if I bought the new car I've seen? What if I decide to take up a new job or start a new business? What if I want to move to a new home? Understanding the decision itself is a crucial step. So when we understand what what is that decision we want to take, then we often drown much more in detail, rather than seeing the decision for what it is. By capturing the decision in this way, you can now move on to the second step. The second step, I tell you, it is what can go wrong. So it's a kind of risk assessment. Yeah, that is a perspective which you get when you actually sit with this process. So you identify the risk by estimating what can go wrong, by identifying what can go wrong, but by analyzing it, what could go wrong. Think about some, what kind of nightmares might come if you make this decision. What are some of the worst case scenarios that could happen? So list as many as you can, so because that way you can actually do the risk identification, you can do the risk analysis, and you can actually do the mitigation plan. Yeah, so that is where you can understand, why it is so important. So you should then score those out, those on the score of 10, right? So how life challenging they can be, how life changing they can be. So all these scenarios, and you put that into a context. So once you have completed this state, the next question, which is to ask of each scenario, each situation, you ask how you could prevent them from happening. So as I was saying, that risk mitigate, risk identification, risk analysis, and then risk mitigation. Yeah. So having said this, the step 3, what could go right? So that's a positive side of looking at it, girls. Yeah, so what could go right? Look at the upsides of this potential decision. If it goes right, then what will happen, how it will impact you, how will impact your loved ones, how it will impact your organization, what kind of breakthrough you will achieve in your business. So all these things, it is time to look at the positives, women, which should take you to back to the circumstances that created the need for the decision in the first place. So always think, what can go right. So when you think in that direction, you always think the positive side of your potential decision, right? So that gives you a lot of power to take that decision. So often the desire or the need to decide comes from the thoughts of a positive outcome. So always, again, here you read on this, you read this on the score of 10, how life changing it can be, how how fruitful it can make your life, or how beneficial it is to your business, or how well it will be received in your organization. So many, right? So the step 4 is, what if you did nothing? Yeah, so that is kind of indecisiveness. So what if you do if you are not going to do anything about it? What if you are going to be indecisive? Now consider this as a short term period, long term period, mid term period, and then see what will be the impact if you remain indecisive in that situation, right? Saying no is easy, as doing nothing often has, because doing nothing often has very short term benefits. But what is if you remain indecisive, right? So you have to understand, you may look at a period like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years. If you remain indecisive, then what will happen? So you understand that, think about how this might look in 6 months, a year, or after 10 years, how it will shift your perspective, during that period. So having said this, let's go back to our workplaces, beautiful workplaces, right? So how many of women do you want to go to the, different decision making methods for the workplace? Yeah, so a lot of, right? Yes, yeah. So let's begin with that. What we can do at the workplace. When we are taking, what are the methods which are available. So strong decision making is a very valuable skill at any workplace, because it empowers the employees. It empowers the employees to that extent that, and even it empowers the leaders to make mindful choices that have the best chance of leading to a favorable outcome. So your decision making methods, they may change depending on the context. So now, here I'm not going to, we are going to only explore about the top decision making methods, so you can use to make timely and effective professional choices. Yeah, so again, going back to what is that decision making at the workplace. There are some effective decision making which requires you to identify more potential options. You have to anticipate some of the possible outcome. You have to consider the needs or wants of the others impacted by the decision in your organization, or like in case of customers. Understand the impact on the overall project, or the department, or the function, or the organization, or as a whole, or certain areas where you have your potential clients, you have your potential vendors. So deliberate when under pressure. Managing all of these and other variables can help you identify the most efficient approach to make the effective decision, right, at workplace. That also in a timely manner. So the importance What is the importance of decision making at workplace? So this is often left to those in the highest leadership positions, right? Like in case of business also. But that doesn't mean that lower level employees are they need not take any important decisions, right? Absolutely right. So we keep on taking a lot of decisions even if we are in the middle management, right? So a lot of women here who are in middle management, and I can see that they are saying yes. So even the smallest decision by an employee can have a ripple effect throughout the company, providing workplace a decision making as a very vital tool, right? So here are a few reasons why effective decision making is vital at the workplace, right? So it saves a lot of time and money. So effective decision making can save a company both the time as well as money. So a lot of people who are into this, they can understand very well that they consider how many minute decisions a company must take each day that will ultimately affect their bottom line, right? So if you understand this, then you will take timely decisions and you will save a lot of money. So for example, management must decide how to allocate resources within the business. So choosing to assign more staff for a specific project, or shuffling some people from one function to other function, or cutting down on some of the stakeholders in the project. So it could save a lot of money as well as time. And I have seen in my organization that when we have a good governance established in a project, we save a lot of time and we save a lot of money. So another aspect of decision making is managing the physical stock a company maintains. So sometimes those who are in sales, they will understand better. We have to really take the very critical decisions in the area of physical stock. So too many can too much can cause a lot of waste, right? And too much and very little can actually drive our potential customers away. So we have to be really good in the area of taking the decisions. It also improves team performance. So some of you are saying, yeah, part of running a successful business also involves that you have the ability to formulate and execute certain ethical decision making skills, right? So it improves if within a team, if you are giving a chance to somebody to take the decisions, that improves the team performance. They feel empowered, the team feels empowered, and they give the better performance. Why? Because then why not everyone share the same values, creating a team that can come together with the company when the company's goal are so crucial. So I'm this question is to all of you guys who are in the leading position. So if you have this ability to take the decisions, don't delay the decisions and take the right decisions, so that you perform better, your team performs better, and your chances of growing into the organization are pretty high. So this success starts with leadership deciding how to organize and manage a team for top performance. So sometimes if you see that many a times top performance are selected for some complex project, it is because the organization or the company also knows whom to give that responsibility, right? So these are the decision making areas wherein the management decide, the higher management decides to who are the top performance within the organization, and why we should take their skills into account for the timely or the faster delivery of that particular project, right? So using decision making skills, employees in managerial roles can form a team which is built on a trust, on loyalty, and on good workmanship. So understand this. This also decision making also improves relationships within the employees and satisfaction also. So you might have seen a lot of decision after a lot of important projects. You might see that these the teams are so good with each other and they perform so better together. It is because that improves the relationship when you are deciding as a team for different stakeholders, but working on the project and then giving the best to it, and that really gives lot of boost to the relationships, and also increases the satisfaction within the employees. Yeah, so for example, if there is an issue, I can give one more another example. If there is an issue between the two employees that calls for the employer to intervene, the opinions and needs of everyone must be considered. So deciding on a solution that suits all the parties involved can improve the relationship. So also employee satisfaction. So this is again the higher management intervening. Yeah. So Having said this, let's go to the time management part of decision making. Yeah, what is the impact of right decision making on the time management? So this can help improve the time management, the time properly to complete the task, and that is why it is so important that when you make the right decision, you also ensure that there is a proper time management. So helping employees to understand their contribution helps to improve their time management and work ethic. So understand this, that whenever you are into business also, when you are working with your clients, when you are reaching at the meeting venue at the right time. Just to give a small example, it gives a kind of, when you decide that you want to reach at the right time for a meeting, it gives a different perspective to your potential customer or client. So having said this, again there is one which I want to say now. This, it reduces mistakes and liabilities. Yeah. So when the decision making is right and people are empowered to take right decisions, it reduces mistakes and liabilities. So people are fearless to take those decisions. They do a lot of homework before taking, so chances of mistakes are very less. And then, for example, a warehouse manager, I want to give one example, may need to decide whether employees must use safety harness or on scaffolding, or to properly work to properly stock the store shelf. So all these decisions, because they know that they can avoid some of the big accidents. Yeah. So by considering the employee's safety, if that manager can reduce the workplace liability and ensure that their decision positively impacts everyone, that's a good decision, right? So there are different decision making methods here. Yeah, I want to take you through that. There are command decision making, that is collaborative decision making, consensus based decision making, vote decision making, or delegation of decision making. So there are a lot of methods which anyone can apply. Yeah. So when we are making the command decision kind of making, what is it? You make a decisive choice without input from others. So this is sometimes, you have to take as an entrepreneur when you are starting up your new venture. So command decision making is often the quickest and most direct route to coming to an outcome, right? So sorry guys. So use this approach. So when you are responding to a time sensitive issue or working in a fast paced environment, a fast track project where daily decisions must be taken on the spot. So this is a kind of command decision making. So those who use command decision making, they rely solely on their own knowledge when making that particular choice. So understand, if there are some women leaders, I see some of them are women leaders in business leaders. So they are into their own businesses, they are the entrepreneurs. They have to take on the spot decision, and they know that, that they have to make based on the knowledge, based on their earlier experience, based on their insights. So this kind of direct approach leave team members with clear orders, but there is no room for negotiation. So understand that there is a drawback also, but when it is an organization and you are taking that decision, command decision, then it is a very clear order to your subordinates or the downline, right? But then there is no scope for negotiation. So, like, I was just giving I would just want to give one example. Now there is one girl, Diti. She was managing the production floor and she was making the daily decisions regarding, who which workers will be assigned to which part of production, or production line. So she evaluated the daily production schedule independently each morning, and she used to, post the employees. She used to have this kind of daily doing that kind of activity, and she used to post the employee assessment or their assignments on the bulletin board. So every employee then used to receive their directions, and they used to carry out the orders as specified in that particular bulletin board, and without negotiation. So using this command style kind of decision making, especially when you are working on the shop floor, especially when you want to give directly clear cut direction to somebody, then this is a kind of, a productive workflow on the production line, right? So she maintained that steady kind of productive flow, and that really there was no then the power to anyone to negotiate. So the postings were very clear, and she was getting the output on daily basis. Now there is another, which is a collaborative decision making, right? So this uses the groups or the teams to discuss an issue and a possible solution. So this is a different kind of decision making. So this works best when you have a diverse group of employees who are present, who can present multiple perspectives of a decision to take a balanced approach to problems, right? So this you can see a lot of in a lot of HR processes. We need to take a lot of support from other sources, some industry experts or some customers. So a collaborative decision making approach allows you to gather information, gather suggestions, evaluate the options, and then reach informed conclusions, so that you may not have to come to take those decisions on your own. So this is a kind of a very good decision making in some of the areas, especially in the areas when you are working on a project which involves a lot of stakeholders, so a lot of vendors, a lot of suppliers, and then a collaborative decision making is always so helpful. Now, example I can give, there was one guy, Prashant. He had a marketing team, and that he his team wanted to come up with a new approach to their social media campaign. So so that is where he sat with his team all together, and they gathered a lot of information about company's followers, and he actually started scheduling meeting with his marketing associates, and to evaluate the results. So using customer feedback as a guide. Now Prashant could ask each associate to develop a social media campaign to present at their next meeting. So this helped, right? So all these approaches are collaborative decision making approaches. So each member of the team then started, in his case, started presenting a different campaign approach. So there were different perspectives coming from all areas, and that is where Prashant started using this to make the final decisions. Yeah. So this is how a collaborative decision making can help us in all areas of life, right? So going to the next one, that is the consensus based decision making. So this is kind of decision making. It requires that all participants who are involved in the process agree on a single option before moving forward. So using this approach, you gather your team and discuss the issue and all of your options. So you might choose, yeah, you might choose to present specific options or accept specific suggestions from your team. So the key to this approach is that you only settle on a choice. So wherever, when everyone says or agrees on, yeah. So this is a different kind of making decision making, and it is very effective in building a strong team, because then it promotes a sense of unity. So however, there is sometimes people will find that this is a very slower approach, and there are a lot of meetings which take place, and then making people to agree on one decision. So it is based that when you have more time to decide, you should explore to use this kind of decision making. So consider, like, reserving this strategy for a complex issue, or in the organization, or change in the policy after a year or after 6 months. Then that kind of decision making is very helpful. Now, for example, there was this gentleman, um, Ronnie. He wanted to change the script of company's sales employees, so that to reflect the company's recent rebranding. And that is where he actually started with 5 salespersons in the company, and then he decided that he will do this kind of lot of homework there, and then a lot of deliberations, lot of meetings. He also made a lot of experienced copywriters in the marketing department. So this this particular exercise, or this particular set of activities they that made his decision very easy. If I have to talk about the outcome of it, when he did this, Ronnie, by waiting until each vital party signs off on the final product, uh, he actually ensured that this project had the best chances of success because he knew that his homework was done properly. He had spent lot of time deciding on the script part, which was the best script which he could give to organization, yeah, to his sales team. So there is another decision making is vote decision making. It allows you to gather input from large number of people within the organization without investing a significant amount of time in discussion or debate. So this is like you can see 360-degree feedback, or sometimes when you want to you are changing something in your organization, some big business decisions are coming in, that time you can take this vote, right? So as the employees in charge of the decision making process, so you are still responsible for providing the options to the individuals, and so that they can vote between these, by making choices. So provide your voters with detailed information on their options so you can gather informed opinions. So this is another way which a lot of multinational companies they opt for. So vote decision making works best when your team commits to supporting the outcome, no matter how the votes turn out. So this is a very important thing in in any organization. Now example is, there is this girl Nivedita in my earlier organization. She was into uh, she was rebranding the business, and she had narrowed the options down to three new logos. So she wanted to get everyone in the company involved in the final phase of the process. So what she did, she posted all three logos throughout the office with information on how the colors and the typography relate to the new branding. So after giving the entire staff a few days to evaluate their options, she took the vote, and she committed to using whichever logo will win, right? So one logo which won by a significant majority, and the employees who were satisfied that with the outcome that will bring in after implementing that logo, that was really the phenomenal kind of decision process, and she used it, and I tell you that that has become the one of the best um, kind of logo in the pharmaceutical companies which we have in India today. So this is one of the example which I wanted to give. Now delegation of decision making is the task of assigning responsibility to others, such as giving the decision making responsibilities to someone else. So you might delegate the decision making to an expert or to a consultant, or like as a consultant, as a pharma consultant, or as a coach, I do I make a lot of decision makings on behalf of a few organizations in some of the areas. So these are the kind of examples of delegation of decision making. So this decision making method is best used for everyday issues that don't require a lot of evaluation and debate. So consultants who are hired on regular basis, they will understand, to them it will make sense what I'm talking. So delegate decisions when you simply need someone well informed to select from a predetermined option, right? So delegation can empower your team members, or build a kind of confidence in your managers. So when you delegate it to someone new, you are likely to see a fresh approach to the issue, and which is often beneficial to the business and the employees. Yeah. So for me, I want to give an example. I was routing one outgoing shipment through one of the three warehouses wherein I was a consultant. So all of this comparable, but I mean, all of these shipments were comparable, but someone was thinking, where the volume of orders will flow, right? So so when I delegated that particular decision to one of my team member, yeah, Priya. She was earlier an experienced warehouse manager, and also to one of the employee or the team member from this company side, Shweta. So in that case, what happened when I did this, yeah, that was the delegation of a decision making. And when I did that, these two women, they started working so closely with each other. There was so much trust between them, that that was a result, phenomenal result. And this actually lightened my workload. But at the same time, such kind of higher level projects, you know that these two people, they work so hard. And when I delegated, they came out with so many good things, good approaches to take that shipment on time, right? So these are the examples, yeah, how leaders and managers can improve their decision making skill. So here I want to really touch base, because we women, we need to understand this, how as leaders and managers we can improve this kind of skill in our organization. So learning is an everyday process, all of you agree, but especially at the workplace, when we are leaders, we are managers, we have to develop the skills of our employees, right? So reconstruct the situation. In this case, I will advise this way: take a deeper look at the problem by analyzing all angles. This will prevent the issue from becoming one sided. Decide based on evidences, contest the status quo. So instead of maintaining familiarity, think outside the box or get advice. So you can appoint some of the consultants, you can challenge your view by collecting opinions and suggestions from others. But you can be cautious with risk. So taking the decision wherein the risk identification done, analysis done, and mitigation plan in place, that is a very good decision taking process. So decide today. You need not postpone or procrastinate, or have the habit of procrastination to take the decisions. So be honest, ensure that decision is very objective and very honest regarding that problem. So these are some of the things, yeah. So I just don't want to go with the smaller examples, but I want to give some bigger examples of the processes or the decision making processes which were successes, and there are some which were not successes, which were failures. So in that case, I want to give one example, that was of Coca Cola in 1985. So the business and the leadership expert John Edison writes that the company decided to address the changing soda marketplace by launching new Coke. So unfortunately, the rebrand failed miserably within 3 months, which forced the company to reintroduce the original Coca Cola. So, the big takeaway, reversing direction is not a sign of failure, right? Rather, it is the evidence of a leader's commitment to keeping the company's health a top priority. So, what is more, it shows how important it is to revisit some of our decisions, to evaluate some of our decisions, and again take the re-decisions. Yeah. So these are the successes which I'm talking about. Yeah. So there is one example, companies they often use data to try a pilot or program, and if it doesn't work, they might revisit the decision and change course. So this happens classically in most of the research and development organizations. So in other cases, large companies are constantly assigning data to find actionable paths. So sometimes if we are like, I want to give one example of the clinical trials which we normally do in the pharma business, wherein we have always three approaches. We take all, I don't want to reveal more on that, but yes, we have this play, when we are going with the clinical trials, we have a lot of approaches which are which we understand, and whenever the redecision kind of things come, we do take those kind of decisions. Yeah. So there is another example which I want to give is of Google created a people analytics department to help the company make HR decisions using data, including deciding if the managers make a difference in their team's performance. The department used performance reviews and employee surveys to answer that question. So the company learned that a laser focus on performance did not indicate the best or the happiest teams. Instead, the managers with strong people skills had the best performing groups. So even if you say, they also had these employees who were more happier and they stayed longer at the company, right? So, like Amazon story, yeah, Amazon was still a startup, So it gathered a lot of data. Its data gatherers noticed that customers who bought a certain book, a CD or a DVD, they were also more inclined to buy another product. So perhaps these related products were by the same author, same artist, or maybe the movie starred the same kind of actors, or same kind of, had similar kind of subject matter. So, or maybe there were just hot titles the customer wanted. So editors at this time had been taking on the role of the trusted advisor, making recommendation based on the purchases through emails and other human created collaterals. But the company came up with a very innovative data, idea, where they develop an automated tool which could argument what the human editors could suggest, right? So ultimately, Amazon decided to use that data to create its first rudimentary personalization tool. So by presenting customers with products that other customers also bought, the company realized there was a significant spike in the sales. So these are the success examples, the success examples of a right decision making. Now there was this Southwest airline famously studied its customer data to determine the perks and upgrades that would appeal to its regular flyers. So offering those perks and upgrades resulted in a boost in ridership and fearless, and that is where you have to be very vigilant, my woman. That these are the some of the examples that relied on strong decision making. But of course, not all the decisions succeed, right? So there are some which are like wrong also. So I'm not going to dwell more on the wrong, but continuously assessing and revisiting decisions, it's a sign of a matured company. So otherwise decisions can result in public failures. So let's go to the for businesses or for entrepreneurs. They really have to have, understand some of the things. They need to understand their contacts, they need to understand their opportunity, they need to understand their venture, they need to understand their resources, they need to understand their management. So in short, they have to really understand every decision making which involves this kind of, things, right? So taking the moderate risk, or needing achievements, or society laws, or searching for opportunities, identifying opportunities, planning the venture, organizing it, launching the venture. There's so many things. And that is where, the strategic decisions, they play lot of lot of it plays a very crucial role. A strategic decision making is the key for any entrepreneurial success. So when you take strategic decisions, you are sure that you are on the right path in your business, right? So now, coming to the my favorite part, that is the last part of my every session. I always talk about beautiful quotes from beautiful, inspiring leaders, right? So I'm going to walk through 4, 5, and this time I have taken pains to get from all areas of of life across the globe. So first one which I want to say, in the decision making, is from the Mark Zuckerberg, right? I don't have to tell who he is, right? So he says people don't care about what you say, they care about what you build. So understand, if you are a leader in your area, if you are a businesswoman, if you are into you are a social entrepreneur, if you are a kind of entrepreneur with a different kind of, altogether offering, you always remember this, that they don't care what you say, they don't care about what you say, they see what you are building. So always build that by taking right decisions. There is another one which is from one of the first female African American astronaut, and this is Dr. Mae Jemison. Yeah. So she is saying sorry, she's saying, she has said so beautifully, never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. So when you are taking any decision, you should not rely on your past, or your genes or your this. And if you are really collaborating with a lot of people around, then you just don't have to get limited by what other people, they have that limited imagination. You have to think about that. You have to take, a lot of inputs from different stakeholders. But then when you are taking that decision, you have to think that this is the decision which is going to go right. So having said this, let's go to the third lady, the one our and ours only, Michelle Obama. So she's saying you can't make decisions based on fear and the possibility of what might happen. So such an important, quote from her, saying that those who fear, they cannot take decisions. And so to make the decision, you have to also see the possibility of what will happen. So always think that, when you are taking a decision, always think what options are available. Look out for alternative options, see which is the best option, see what is the value which will add to you or to your organization, to your company, to your business, and take that decision. So when you take the decision, don't be fearful. That is what in short it she says. There is another one which is from our best Nick. Yeah. So Nick, Nick. Yeah. So Nick has said that it is a lie to think you are not good enough. It is a lie to think you are not worth anything. So always remember this: when you have to make a right decision, a good decision which is beneficial to everyone, always don't lie. Don't think on the lie that says that you are not good enough. Always rely on the truth that you can do it. Yeah. So there is one, she's my favorite tennis player, and that is Steffi Graf. She says you can't measure success if you have never failed. So having said this, I want to say that you, when you will come across with the failures, when you take the bold decision, when you take the right decision, you will come across with the failures, women, girls, ladies, whoever is attending my session. But you can't measure success if you have never failed. So if the failures, they are the opportunities to grow. So always say that even if you take a decision and if it fails, always say to yourself that yes, that was the opportunity for me to learn the most difficult game of a business, or being into business, or being a leader, and then just go ahead and make those mistakes and learn from the mistakes again and again. And just like a phoenix who actually comes from the ashes, and then does phenomenal, he takes a leap of that faith. Please do that in your all your areas. Having said this, I'm signing off from today's session, and I will be back not tomorrow but day after tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be a Sunday. It's going to be a beautiful weekend for each one of us. So I'm not going to be there online, but I wish each one of you a very happy Sunday, peaceful Sunday, fruitful Sunday, a decision making Sunday, which can, the decision which you can take on Sunday, maybe for your personal growth, maybe for your professional growth. Take it and discuss it with your friends, with your colleagues, with your teams, and just decide that you are going to make that decision. Okay. Having said this, I'm signing off. Love you, girls. Love you, ladies. Bye. Take care.